Thank you for this opportunity to comment on the issue of the GMO foods. I think it's important to understand that GMO stands for genetically modified organisms. So when we talk of GMO foods, we are talking of genetically modified organisms that are either incorporated into those foods or foods that have part of their genetic makeup modified either by inserting or deleting something from the genetic makeup of that food. And the issue here is whether that food is fit or appropriate for human consumption. I think there is a big body of research going into that. I think for us here in Kenya, we are not for now doing really scientific work in terms of modifying the genetic makeup of the foods that we are eating or we are planning to eat. We are talking of foods that have been imported from outside. And what would be most appropriate is to have a national dialogue whereby individuals and institutions are brought on board to discuss about the appropriateness of bringing certain types of food into our country. And in the ongoing debate or lack of debate, what I find lacking is that debate. I would have expected an institution like Parliament, for instance, to be engaged. I would have expected, a public participation in terms of that debate. My concern here is that while the food that we are bringing may meet certain immediate needs in mitigating against the shortfall for food in our country, then one, we don't know what impact this food or these kinds of food are going to have in our health, in our well-being. That is number one. Number two, once the food is in the country, you don't have much control in terms of to what extent that food or type of food goes to interact or to interfere with our ecosystem. Because when we bring that food, it's not just going to be consumed by humans, it's also going to be consumed by animals. It's also going to be in the general environment. And also, when we talk of GMO food, what types of food are we talking about? For now, the average Kenyan has in mind maize. That's what we are talking about. But obviously, when you open the space for GMO foods, we are also going to bring GMO foods in other categories. And what happens now to our indigenous crops that may now, there's a process called pollination or cross-pollination. When you plant a GMO type of crop in a certain field, then there is likely to be cross-pollination with the similar crops, in nearby fields. So ultimately, we have to understand that depending on the dominance of these GMO foods and crops that produce these foods, we may end up damaging our ecosystem in a very big way, and also weakening and possibly maybe eventually eliminating some of the indigenous types that are well adapted to our climate. So these things are very, very important. And then the other thing is also important to understand is that what is going to be the impact of these foods on our health. As we speak now, we are still going through the impact or the effect of the COVID pandemic, whereby the COVID virus itself, we know for sure that a lot of people were impacted negatively, and also the COVID vaccines also, some people have had a detrimental experience with them. So now you are bringing already into the equation now the GMO foods, and already as it is, our health, our bodies are already at a lot of duress. Why? there is a lot of chemicals in the food chain, from fertilizers to spraying chemicals to chemical preservatives that are used to preserve foods, and also the chemicals that are used to in the packaging of foods. So we are already exposed to an overload of chemicals, and this is part of the reason why you find that we have a lot of diabetic cases, hypertensive cases, a lot of obesity, a lot of breathing issues, people with issues with the airway, because normally what these chemicals do to the body is basically that chemical overload causes increased acidity in the body, and that basically that stress, general stress, will interfere or will impact negatively the immune system. So not isolated, when we are talking about GMO foods, we really should be talking about the food chain in general. Personally, being a natural therapist, I encourage people to try and eat organic foods, foods with nutritional benefit to the body, foods with high level of fiber, and to stay away from processed and preserved foods. So the GMO type of food, for instance, now, adds another stress to an already stressful ecosystem. So what I would call upon is for us Kenyans to have an opportunity to discuss these issues and to also bring on board our scientists. I believe they are qualified people in this country who given a chance, they can contribute towards whatever position we take as a country. We don't want to experiment with our people, with the entire population, and only maybe come to regret later on, and then realize that something is going on when it's too late. So it's very, very important to have an open dialogue on this matter.